Filmmaking is a very visual art form. The visual aspects of a film are referred to as mise-en-scene, a French term derived from live theater meaning all the visual elements used on stage to create meaning for the story. These visual elements in both live theater and film include things such as setting, the location of where a scene takes place; costume, what are the characters wearing; makeup and hair, are the characters made to be attractive, scary, homely; movement, how characters walk or otherwise move; props, what objects do the characters own or use; and even color, which can carry symbolic meaning. All of these visual elements are important clues that add meaning to the visual storytelling of film. They also impact how we respond to and define characters. A critical moment in any film is the introductory scene of a main character. Let's take a look at some scenes when iconic film characters have been introduced and see how visual elements are used to define those characters. Let's start with the film Jaws. The following scene introduces the main character, Quint. Look for visual elements that are being used to define his character, and even foreshadow his fate, as he's being introduced in this scene.
I just want to tell you what we're planning so far.
What about the beaches, Chief?
We're going to put on the extra summer deputies as soon as possible. And then we're going to try and use shark spotters on the beach.
Are you going to close the beaches?
Yes, we are. We're also planning to bring in some experts from the Oceanographic Institute on the mainland. Only 24 hours. I didn't agree to that.
Only 24 hours.
You all know me, know how I earn a living. I'll catch this bird for you, but it ain't gonna be easy. Bad fish. Not like going down the pond chasing bluegills or tommy cards. This shark, swallow you whole. Shaking, tenderizing, down you go. And we gotta do it quick. Now don't bring back the tourists, and they'll put all your businesses on a paying basis. But it's not gonna be pleasant. I value my neck a lot more than $3,000, Chief. I'll find him for 3, but I'll catch him and kill him for 10. And you gotta make up your minds. You wanna stay alive and ante up? You wanna play it cheap? Be on welfare the whole winter.
The first impression of a character will greatly impact how an audience reacts to that character. Thus, filmmakers must make artistic choices about how main characters will be introduced. In this example, Quint is introduced by his nails scratching down a chalkboard. Why? Because Quint is being set up as a rude, ill-mannered, and abrasive individual. Quint is established as an outsider from the other people who live in the small town. This is done through his scraggly hair and sideburns, his grimy clothing, and his well-worn baseball cap. Even the image on the chalkboard provides insight into Quint. It is, spoiler alert here, a foreshadowing of how he will die later in the film. All of these visual elements are designed to define his character as he is being introduced. Next, we look at the scene in which Marvel introduces the very important character of Tony Stark in the film Iron Man. Watch for visual cues that define Tony Stark's personality and impact how the audience would react to him.
feel like you're driving me to a court-martial. This is crazy. What did I do? I feel like you're gonna pull over and snuff me. What, you're not allowed to talk? Hey, Forrest.
We can talk, sir.
Oh, I see, so it's personal?
No, you intimidate them.
Good God, you're a woman. I couldn't have called that. I mean, I'd apologize, but isn't that what we're going for here? I thought of you as a soldier first.
I'm an airman.
But you have actually excellent bone structure there. I'm kind of having a hard time not looking at you now. Is that weird? Come on, it's okay, laugh. Hey!
Sir, I have a question to ask.
Yes, please.
Is it true you went 12 for 12 with last year's Maximum Cover models?
That is an excellent question. Yes and no. March and I had a scheduling conflict, but fortunately the Christmas cover was twins. Anything else? You're kidding me with the hand up, right?
Is it cool if I take a picture with you?
Yes. It's very cool.
So, how was Tony Stark introduced? Quint, in the previous clip, was set up as an outsider and associated in a negative way through his nails on a chalkboard. Tony Stark is also set up as an outsider, but in a positive, not negative manner. The first image in the scene uses setting, an isolated military convoy in a desert war zone. In this tense setting, what is the first image used to introduce Tony Stark? The answer? A glass of alcohol. The glass of alcohol defines Tony Stark in many ways. First, he is drinking expensive liquor on ice from a crystal glass in the middle of a desert war zone. This creates a first impression that Tony Stark is important, rich, and loves to party. He is also dressed differently from the others with his designer suit and sunglasses. While the suit and sunglasses scream important person, notice that his tie is loosened, and he does remove his sunglasses to connect with the other officers in the vehicle. All of these visual elements quickly allow the audience to understand exactly who Tony Stark is in a very short period of time. A billionaire, party boy philanthropist who can connect with the common person. Let's turn our attention to another iconic film character that is the exact opposite of Tony Stark. Forrest Gump. Take a look at the scene in which Forrest is introduced and look for visual clues that define his character and foreshadow the story that is about to be told. One of the interesting things about this character introduction is that it is all visual. Forrest does not speak a single word, and yet, if you are paying very close attention to the visual elements, you have already learned a great deal about him and his story. It starts with his shoes. Why is Forrest introduced with his shoes? My interpretation is that they are first a symbol of his love for his sweetheart Jenny, and second, a symbol for the many adventures we are about to take as he tells his story. We will find out later in the film that these shoes were a cherished gift from Jenny. It will also be revealed that the reason he is sitting on that bench at that very moment is he is about to meet Jenny after many years of being apart. Notice how the shoes are very muddy, but the laces are new and clean. This represents that the shoes have been very well used. As the laces have worn out, he replaces them, but he will not replace the shoes themselves. As we start the scene moving again, notice the delicate way in which Forrest picks up the feather. This action uses movement to provide insight into the caring nature of Forrest. And what does Forrest do with the feather? He saves it, of course. Another aspect of Forrest's character that we are learning about is his penchant for saving items as mementos. As he opens his suitcase, this is further developed with various mementos on display. Mementos so important to him that he carries them while traveling. We see a ping pong paddle, a Bubba Gump hat, and some political buttons. These are all clues not only about Forrest's personality, but also foreshadow some of the adventures in Forrest's story. Also take note of how neat and tidy everything is placed in his suitcase. Finally, we see Forrest save the feather in a book. And what book does a middle-aged man carry around in his suitcase? Curious George. This unusual choice of book provides insight that although Forrest is physically a grown man, mentally he is in many ways still a child. And these are only some of the visual cues in this introductory scene. I did not, for example, mention his crazy socks, his white suit, or his conservative haircut, all of which provide additional visual cues that define the complex character of Forrest Gump. The last introduction we will look at is another complex, iconic film character, Edward Scissorhands. A unique aspect of Forrest's introduction is that he never speaks. In Edward's introduction, not only will he not speak, he will not even be seen. How is this possible, you ask? As you will see in the following clip, everything you need to know about Edward can be found in the visual cues of the mansion where he lives. Let's take a look. In this introduction, both the mansion and Edward are being introduced in layers. You can insert your own Shrek joke here. The first layer is the exterior of the mansion. It is removed, both physically and visually, from the neighborhood below. Everything is dead and neglected. It has creepy sculptures and a Gothic facade that we automatically associate with horror films and haunted mansions. The visual cues are telling us that this is a scary place that we should avoid. But once we get past the exterior and enter the second layer of the courtyard, everything changes. The scene becomes lush and colorful. The scary sculptures are replaced by very well kept and playful topiary, plants, and colorful flowers. The third layer is inside the mansion. Once again, the visual cues change drastically. The colors go back to blacks and grays. The setting is dark and empty. How does this link to the introduction of Edward? The mansion is a reflection of Edward himself. Edward is scary and menacing on the outside, but if you can get past that exterior, you will find that he's not scary. In fact, Edward is very caring and childlike. Notice all the topiary objects are childlike. Also notice that the one topiary that is most prominently placed right in the middle of the courtyard is a giant hand. This hand represents Edward's biggest desire. Edward, like his mansion, is scary on the outside, but caring and childlike on the inside. But there is one more layer to both Edward and the mansion. Edward is alone. His father's death has left him empty and lonely. This is represented visually by the third layer of the mansion, the interior. Later in the scene, this is further emphasized as the Avon lady enters his room, which is empty with a large hole in the ceiling, representing the hole in his life after the loss of his father. At this point in the film, we have not yet seen Edward, but we already have a wealth of visual cues about who he is. He is separated from society, scary and intimidating on the outside, but caring and childlike on the inside. But deep down, he is lonely and empty. Filmmakers carefully craft a variety of visual elements to introduce and define main characters. Remember that typically the first thing you see when the character is introduced carries some level of symbolic meaning, whether nails on a chalkboard, a glass of alcohol, a pair of shoes, or even a complex mansion. The filmmaker is trying to communicate something about this character in those crucial moments of introduction. So the next time you watch a film, pay very close attention to when main characters are introduced. Also, go back to some of your favorite films and look for the visual elements that were used to define some of your favorite characters. Be sure to share what you find by posting in the comments below. I look forward to seeing what you come up with and reading about your insights.